Today on a special episode of Let's Talk About Games.
So today we are at Torchy's Tacos to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the first generation of Pokemon.
That means I'm stupid? Who's that Pokemon?
I finally forced my dad to buy me a Game Boy Advance SP. Hello, my name is Morgan Freeman.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special episode of Let's Talk About
Very
Games.
sexy episode about tacos and games.
Today we are at Torchy's Tacos to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the first generation of Pokemon. Ooh.
Is it really the 20th? Like today?
No, not today, but this year. This year's.
Yeah, 2016. Oh my gosh, 20 years. How old do you feel right now, knowing that Pokemon's been out for 20 years?
We're only 18, you do realize that?
Yeah, but Pokemon is 2 years older than us. That's wacky. That shatters my mind.
Why don't we begin this with some history on this magnificent series?
Time for a brief history lesson. Pokémon was envisioned by Satoshi Tajiri. Tajiri's company, Game Freak, had began as a Japanese gaming magazine in the 1980s, and by the 1990s had moved into creating its own games, such as Pulseman for the Sega Genesis. The original idea for Pokémon was pitched by Tajiri to Nintendo with help from Shigeru Miyamoto in 1990. Tajiri drew inspiration for the game, called Capsule Monsters, from his childhood hobby of bug collecting. The idea of trading Pokémon came from when he first saw the Game Boy link cable in action and imagined a caterpillar crawling from one Game Boy to the other. Work on the games initially started in 1991, but numerous factors, such as new creatures being created, cut, or completely redesigned, caused the games to have a long development cycle. Finally, the first of the Pokemon games, Pokemon Red and Green versions, were released in Japan on February 27, 1996. These games proved to be extremely popular, and a third, Blue version, which contained many updates to Pokemon locations, sprites, and dungeons, was released via mail order on October 15th of 1996. Nintendo and Game Freak realized that this series had the potential to become an international phenomenon, and thus work began on versions of the games to be sold outside of Japan. Instead of just translating Red and Green, however, the international versions were primarily based off of the Japanese Blue version, so as to contain its numerous updates. They each contained the Pokemon locations of the Japanese Red and Green versions, and all of the Pokemon sprites were remade once again for the international versions. Finally, on September 28th of 1998, over 2 years after the series' debut in Japan, Pokemon Red and Blue versions were released in North America. This led to an international phenomenon, spawning a TV show, card game, and numerous spin-offs. Yet another released version of these first-generation Pokemon games, titled Pokemon Yellow Special Pikachu Edition, was released on October 18th of 99 in North America. The version of the games contained edits to make it more like the Pokemon anime, such as receiving a Pikachu at the beginning of the game that would follow you at all times, an encounter with Team Rocket's Jesse and James. Overall, the first-generation Pokemon games would go on to sell over 46 million units in all regions. These games have had many sequels and spin-off and is still going strong to this day. And now back to your regularly scheduled bullshit.
Today we should go what I have what's called a trailer park and a Democrat, and you have...
I'm really boring. I just have 2 beef fajitas.
And we have chips, and they brought us 2 orders of chips because I guess they like us filming, so thank you, Torchies.
Yeah, thanks, Torchy. Okay, so most of you guys know this. I'm not from the States, so when I moved here...
He's a lovable Mexican.
No, I'm not. So when I moved here, the first game I ever got was Pokemon Sapphire for the Game Boy Advance. And at the time... Thank you, truck.
And some good taco.
Yeah, so at the time, I didn't have a Game Boy Advance. So I had a copy of Pokemon Sapphire with no way to play it.
That means I'm stupid?
I finally forced my dad to buy me a Game Boy Advance SP, and I was in heaven. I chose Mudkip. He was the best. He beat Roxanne every time. And then from there, it just escalated. For some reason, I did have a hatred for Gen 4. Like, I just refused to play it. It was weird. What about you?
Well, I got started back... The funny thing is, as a kid, I never actually played the RPGs. My first experience was Pokemon Stadium.
Oh, nice.
And not even battling Pokemon Stadium. We screwed around with the mini-games.
Which mini-games?
All of the mini-games. First RPG I actually owned was Coliseum on the GameCube.
That is supposed to be one of the best games for the GameCube.
It is. It's one of my personal favorites.
Isn't there like supposed to be that the main character in Coliseum is supposed to be the bad guy in X the Gale of Darkness?
But it scrapped that, and that's stupid.
Yeah, it was dumb. And
So,
then,
how did you get started with the first generation of Pokemon?
so for first gen, I was in like the 8th grade. A friend of mine had a garage sale. I went to his house and I found a copy of Pokemon Yellow. He said, "Oh yeah, you can just have that, whatever, I don't care." So I started playing it and I was like, wow, these graphics really suck. Because I was already used to Sinnoh graphics. It just started from there. Like, I remember my first team, I had a Wigglytuff named Mr. T, and I had a Rapidash. Nobody could beat Fire Spin Rapidash.
Don't you want to hear about my Rapidash?
I would love to hear about your Rapidash. It's warm, fluffy, cuddly, so nice. Amazing. That's the chairman of the Pokemon fan club, if you guys don't know. And I was like, oh man, this game rocks. And I beat it with 110 out of the 151 in Yellow. And that was my story. How about you?
So the first console I actually owned, that was the Sega Genesis. But after that I had a GameCube, but the first handheld I owned was a GBA.
Right.
However, before that, my sister had her own original Game Boy.
Nice.
And she had 2 games for it, which were Tetris and Super Mario Land. But I'd like to steal it every once in a while. So I go into a GameStop one day,
Yeah.
I see Pokemon Blue version. For, I forget how much it was, probably like 20 bucks or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I was like, oh, that looks cool. So I bought it. I really enjoyed it. Keep in mind, this was something like 2006, 2007. Probably around the time Diamond Pearl came out. And then I eventually got red version, and I got yellow version. And then, as everyone knows, all my GBA and original Game Boy and DS games got stolen when I was on a road trip once.
That's really sad.
So since then, I picked up a copy of Yellow, and then the other versions, I have Red and Blue once again, though not physically. I actually bought them off the 3DS Virtual Console.
That's true. We were really excited. When
Yes.
it came out.
What did you think of those releases?
I thought it was really cool because like you could finally go back to Gen 1, like the prime of Pokemon,
Yes.
and you had all the trading capabilities.
But wirelessly now.
Yeah, so we didn't have to go and find a really old cable and a really old system. Like I remember James and I, we traded a bunch of his traded Pokemon, like an Alakazam, a Golem, so we both had the Pokedex data. And I'm the only person that James needs one more Pokemon from.
So as far as my Pokedex goes, I'm missing only one Pokemon. I've used the Mew glitch, which we'll go into detail on in a bit, and whatnot. I have 150 of 151 Pokemon.
And which one is James missing?
Vaporeon.
Yes, the star player of my yellow team, Vaporeon, is the one Pokemon James is missing. And so I'm waiting right before we leave to give it to you.
You're gonna make me trade it back, aren't you?
Yes, of course. I'm not going to give you my level 95 Vaporeon with Ice Beam, Surf, Earthquake, and Waterfall.
What is the plot of Pokemon?
So the plot of Pokemon is
You have to be the very best. Like no one ever was.
to catch them is the real test, and to train them is your cause. So
You see, you live with your mother, who is a widow apparently, because your father is not present in the picture.
yeah, the only time you get a dad in the Pokemon series is in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald.
Also, apparently she shares a bed with you, because there's only one bed in your house. So you get called by Professor Oak, who probably has the hots for your mom.
Oh no, don't build this up. That's gross. You are a 10-year-old boy, and you are sent to capture and record the data of these 151 mythical creatures called Pokemon that can use elemental attacks, who are very strong, and they like to hide in tall grass.
Which you can't go into because it's dangerous. Hence why Professor Oak chooses you and his grandson, who you can't remember the name of, but it's probably something like Dix or Wang or something. He's essentially your rival, the person you have to compete with the entire time as you try to catch, in this generation at least, all 151 Pokemon.
What was your rival's name?
As I said, Dix.
Ah, yes, my rival Assmunch. He was the worst.
I guess we should mention what's one of the most memorable parts of Gen 1, and that would be the glitches.
And that's true. The only reason Gen 1 is still relevant nowadays is because of all the unholy amount of glitches you can do.
Yeah, what's like, the games itself, I'll be honest, haven't aged the best.
Yeah.
If you want to go back and play it, I'd honestly say play the Fire Red and Leaf Green remakes on the Game Boy Advance.
Definitely better. The Subby Islands are a lot of fun.
Well, and not only that, but just soundtrack better, graphics better. It's not nearly as glitchy. But the thing is, the glitches make the first generation really fun.
That's true. Like I remember having to find the old man, having to find the kid in slope, having to find the kid with the slowpoke and cerulean cape, and oh my gosh, the Mew glitch was super fun to perform.
So I guess we should go into detail on that. When the games first came out, there was 150 Pokemon, but there was an extra one that had been slipped in the last minute into the game data.
Yeah,
that was Mew.
They were originally gonna make it like an event release Pokemon, like,
and it was.
And Nintendo would upload the Pokemon into your save file.
So, yeah, actually, it's kind of weird seeing they have these giant machines you'd have to attach your Game Boy to, and it's like. But there's a way to glitch the game. So if you have where I think you'd have to go, to Cerulean City, and then you'd have to have a Pokemon new fly or teleport. And right as a trainer sees you above the city, you'd have to fly or teleport move, and then it'd make it so your start button wouldn't work temporarily.
Yeah, it was really weird, and it was really hard to pull off. Like even in the new releases of on the eShop, you can still do it. It's just a lot harder.
Well, what's interesting too is the old man glitch.
Oh yeah.
So the thing is, originally, supposedly, while there's 151, there's supposed to be 190 Pokemon.
That's true.
And they still have the 30 some odd slots of data there, but they're unused. And that's where you get missing number.
Yeah, missing no. Oh my gosh. This guy is usually portrayed like as a rectangle with a slot missing out of it. And if you encounter him, the item in the sixth slot of your bag will be multiplied, I think, like 200 something times. 128 times, thank you, James. So you could end up getting like a bajillion rare candies and a million Master Balls by just repeating this glitch over and over again.
That's what I always do.
And that's like the best way to grind. But also, instead of just encountering missing no, you can find actual other Pokemon, like at insanely high levels. Like, so insane, they're like above level 100.
So, the way my name was in the last game I played, which was Blue version, I managed to catch a level 156 Charmeleon. When you beat the Pokemon League at the end of the game, you get Hall of Fame data, which shows how, essentially, your team and whatnot. This corrupts the Hall of Fame data, and it's kind of interesting to see how that looks.
How does it corrupt it?
Puts random Pokemon there, glitch characters. If you wanna fix it, just beat the Pokemon League again.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
But it's really kind of a weird little glitch,
a little quirk. And so, like, I remember on my yellow version, I ended up with a level 112 Kangaskhan. And that was a lot of fun to use. Earthquake on Kangaskhan at level 112 beat everything.
Now, what was interesting too is on that same Blue version playthrough.
Yeah.
I pulled off so many glitches, it actually made the game nearly unplayable.
Why?
Well, you see, there's this other thing I pulled off called the Glitch City glitch, where you go into the Safari Zone and you fly from it, and it gets all glitchy and whatnot, and it looks cool when you're playing through a glitch-through city.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is just, fly out of there and it's fine. What happened is, so at one point, Team Rocket's in Saffron City, and they won't leave till you meet some requirements, and you can go into the Silk Company and The problem is, the game acted like I'd gone through Silpco already, but Team Rocket was still in the city, and I couldn't access the gym there. So how I got past that is there's another glitch in the Safari Zone.
Yeah.
Where you have to get one of your Pokemon poisoned. And you go in there, you go to the Safari Zone, and instead of using your Pokemon, you just get Safari Balls, and you yourself have to go out and catch these Pokemon by baiting them and whatnot.
Yeah.
So what happens is you leave the Safari Zone, but make it so the timer's still going on.
Yeah.
And then right as the timer walks out, you have to jump over a ledge.
Okay.
So the timer will go out, and you'll appear back at the Safari Zone, but because it'll act like you're still going over the ledge, you'll be able to walk over solid tiles.
Oh, so you just walked over the rocket grunt.
Yes, the reason your Pokemon has to be poisoned is that if you try it in the Safari Zone building and try to leave, well, the game will glitch.
Yeah.
So by that, your Pokemon will faint, and you'll go back to the Pokemon Center, and you'll be fine. I did that, and that's how I got into Silpco. Actually did that, and then it was fine from that point.
Nice save.
Nice save. I was stumped for about a week.
I remember he would call me up at night, like 3 in the morning in a cold sweat. I don't know how to get into Silpco.
You have to understand, it's hard trying to be the very best like no one ever was.
Who's that Pokemon?
Come on, man, I hope it's Clefairy.
Nah, dude, it's not a Clefairy. That's a Blastoise right there.
It's Clefairy!
I fucking damn it! Fuck!
The power of science is amazing. That was my favorite guy to find. So, in the first town in every Pokemon game, there is going to be one fat guy stating about some new ability. Like in Gen 1, he was talking about how you could turn Pokemon into data. In Gen 2, it was the same thing. But in Gen 3, he was talking about how you could finally do like link battles. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like the power of science is staggering. It was the same line every game. That would make my day.
You know what was also interesting? Some of the lines that characters make before you battle. You see, for those of you who have lived under a rock and do not play Pokemon, if another trainer catches you in their line of sight, you have to battle them.
That's true. It's the law of the trainers.
But some of them have the strangest dialogue. My favorite one from Gen 1 was a guy who was like, I like shorts, they're comfy and easy to wear. And then you have to fight him.
Then also there's a guy in Gen 4, in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, and he says, I'm gonna beat you with the Pokemon that my dad got for me, and he sends out a magic card. So,
his dad must have hated him. Or iconically in the second generation games with youngster Joey, whose Rattata is in the top percentage of Rattata.
oh my god.
Along the way in Gen 1, you also have to fight against Team Rocket, which does such evil things as being evil.
And Red and Blue, Team Rocket doesn't really get much of a face besides Giovanni. But in Pokemon Yellow, since they're trying to make it more off the anime with Ash, Jesse and James do make an appearance. I think a couple of times.
Yes, about 3 or 4 times.
And they do have their Ekans, their Coughing, and their Meowth, which was really cool. A really cool little extra thing they added in at the last minute.
I guess while we're on the topic of the first generation games, we should talk about the side games. As I've talked about, I was a big fan of the Pokemon Stadium games.
Those were really fun, how you could finally see the Pokemon in a 3D environment on the N64.
What kind of disappointed a lot of people was it wasn't a blown out adventure, and you wouldn't get a blown out, I guess technically until Coliseum, but really and truly until Pokemon X and Y on the 3DS. But it was still really cool to battle them in 3D. There was Pokemon Snap, where you could finally go and capture your Pokemon in 3D
with a camera
film.
Yeah, so Pokemon Snap, well now it's a cult classic, and it was really interesting. It was like never done before because no one had done Pokemon before. And it was really interesting to see like how much good reputation Nintendo and Game Freak got from that game. And even now, today, 20 years later, people are still calling for remakes of Pokemon Snap. Or at least putting it on like the Wii U or something.
Now, this is going to be a strange one that I know a lot of people don't talk about.
Which one?
But that is Pokemon Trading Card Game, the video game. Now, people are probably skeptical, and that's why it didn't sell too well. I honestly would have been skeptical too at first.
Yeah, like why would you want to buy a video game about a card game?
Based off another video game.
Yeah, it's like...
But the thing is, I haven't gone through and played it. I really enjoy it. Someone who actually played the card game as a kid, I appreciate it. The soundtrack is great, the music is great. It's honestly one of my favorite Game Boy games, and it's a shame that the sequel to it, Pokemon Card GB2, which I think had its own version of Team Rocket and whatnot, only came out in Japan, though there is a fan translation patch for those who want to play it. So what are your final thoughts on the first generation of Pokemon?
It was a great start to something even greater, something that would shape the gaming community as we've never seen it before. And just, god damn it, they needed to nerf Fire Spin and Wrap and Bind, because those moves, if you had a fast enough Pokemon, Fire Spin Rapidash would beat everything. Alakazam was overpowered.
Seriously, if you had an Alakazam, the only decent way to really beat something like that would be to use a Jolteon Pin Missile.
And even then, Pin Missile is a crap move.
It is, yes, but it's bug type.
Alright guys, so
I think it was a wonderful start as well. I think it's, while the games themselves haven't aged as well, they created a legacy that is to be admired and respected and extremely contributional to video games as we know it today. If you have the chance, it's only about $10 on the 3DS eShop, and I'd highly recommend you buy them.
Go play yourself with the original games, go see what they're all about.
Give yourself a history lesson. Well, until next time, ladies and gentlemen,
see ya!
What? There's more of us? That's right. We have an end slate. Woohoo! End slate. So, as always, I'd like to give a special thank you to my good friend Alex for creating the logo for the show. I'd like to give a thank you to Mewmore on YouTube for letting us use their theme, to Sir Jordanius on the OC Remix because we use some of his music, and to Mr. David Sachs, also on YouTube, my awesome uncle, for letting me use some of his awesome piano music.
Thank you, Mr. Sack.
Sachs. That's with an S.
My bad.
I'd also like to mention we have more Let's Talk About Games on our channel, so make sure to subscribe.
Right there.
Yeah, right there. Subscribe. Make sure to like and comment on this video. Make sure to check out if you like more informational gaming videos, check out my serious stuff we play on the same channel. Check out our Let's Play channel, Team Nameless. And make sure to, come back next time, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you then.
Oh my gosh. Hey, what's up?
So, since you guys are vlogging, these will destroy your world.